Hi, I'm Rich Dahl, National Service Trainer with Empire Comfort Systems. Today we're going to install a Vail vent-free fireplace using the stacked limestone liner refractory sassafras logs. We're going to go through a complete setup, installing the logs, the ember material, the rocks, and then at the end we'll install remote control. Now we're getting ready to install the stacked limestone ceramic fiber liners. First we'll install the back piece, and then we'll install the sides. Installing the back piece first, we want to make sure that we line up our correct grout joints to where they match up with the top and the sides. Once the liner is installed, we'll use clips to install at the bottom using the holes that are pre-drilled, and also a bracket at the top and the holes that are pre-drilled. Next, we're going to install the refractory sassafras log set. It's important that we use the instruction manual that comes with the logs. This shows the direct placement of each of the logs. There's a sheet that goes through each of the individual sizes. This is a 32-inch log set, so we'll be using the LS24 RS log. Also in this instructions, there's a metal placement sheet. This must be left with the fireplace. This is to allow the individual to go back after the fireplace has been installed to see how the correct placement of the logs should be placed. We first start out with installing the rear logs. If you notice on the bottom of the refractory logs, there's holes for pin placement. This is very important. If the logs get out of place, then we could possibly have some incorrect air movement or possible impingement that may create some soot. Next comes the front logs. There's pins in the bottom, and you notice the placement. This log, there's a definite groove that allows the front log to connect to the rear log. 2 pins, 2 holes. Next will come the top twigs. There's slots and grooves for the logs to fit into. And with that, our log set is complete. Next, we'll place the rock wool embers on the burner. This enhances the effect and gives it a glowing look underneath the logs and in front of the burner. Make sure you used approved embers by Empire Comfort Systems. Using the other ember materials that are not can adversely affect the flame, causing problems within the unit. When using replacement embers, always refer to the instruction manual to the parts list to order in replacement embers. When doing embers, we always want to take and pull and separate the embers to a nice fluffy and light consistency. We're going to do dime-sized portions on the burner, but we want to make it a thin single layer coat going across the entire burner. When applying the embers, we want to make sure we only place the embers on the single ports. We do not want to put on the ports covering the larger slots across the front or the rear large ports in the back to give us our tall flame. Also keep away from the pilot assembly because that can create a delayed ignition scenario. When placing embers, do across the front and do between the right and front logs on the front, creating a channel toward the back, as long as we're putting them on the single ports. Next, we want to install the decorative rock. It's very important that this does not go on the burner. It states right here in the instructions that it must be placed around the burner and it is strictly for decoration. When placing it, open up the bag and remove, placing the rock into the position. Do not just open the bag and dump it, as sediment and dust on the bottom of this will adversely affect the use of the vent-free product. Now we've finished installing all the rock. Noticing nothing has landed on top of the burner port. After installing the logs and the embers and the rock, now it's time to start up the fireplace. First, drop the bottom louver. This opens up access to your gas control valve, your gas supply, your switches. Remove the lower control panel, throw it out of the way. Check your gas connection. Make sure that you've got a licensed, qualified installer installing your gas line. Once we've opened up the bottom here, you'll notice here the metal plating. This has your lighting instructions, and we'll also go back and put our log placement sheet on there so that for future use. Now we're ready to fire the fireplace up. First, inspect the gas connection, making sure that the gas valve is turned in the on position. The flex line and gas cock are included with the fireplace, so visually make sure that we're correct on the installation of it. Now, follow your instructions that come with either the instruction manual or the sheet here. First thing we want to do is we want to inspect the gas line and smell to see if we smell any gas lingering inside the fireplace. Once that we found that this is correct, then we're ready to start the fireplace. First thing we want to make sure we do is make sure that our rocker switch is in the off position. Otherwise, the unit could come on prematurely. Then, take the gas valve and turn it counterclockwise to the pilot position. At this point here, visually find your pilot. It is at the right rear of the firebox. At that point, then we will depress the gas cock and hit the piezo igniter. Once we have a visual flame, we'll need to continue to hold this for about 30 seconds so that the thermocouple can heat up. Once we get it heated, then the unit will be ready to fire. Okay, now we're ready for the unit to fire. I found my pilot light, it is lit, I'm good to go. At this position, I need to rotate the gas cock another turn counterclockwise to the on position. Now the gas valve is ready to go. With the rocker switch, we have a 3-pronged rocker switch showing an on, off, and remote position. This is for future use if you would like to use a wall switch, remote control, any other type of external control. Now we're ready to turn the unit on. Inspect to make sure all the burner ports are correctly lighting. Notice the flames coming up through the center. With this, we know that we've got good ember placement and that we've got good tall flame. You can vary the flame height by adjusting your high-low knob on your gas valve. This will change the BTU input, thus allowing us to have different heights of flame. Now we're going to add an aftermarket remote control. This is the FRBC from Empire. It uses 4 AA batteries to go into the receiver. In the handheld portion, there's also a 12-volt battery that goes in here. This is in case the power goes out, the remote control will still operate. This is a radio frequency remote control. There are several thousand different frequencies, so if you have multiple units in a house, you can use them all with different codes. When installing the remote control, there's a red and a green wire that comes off the back of the rocker switch. Make sure you hook up to the red and green wire off the back of the rocker switch. Hooking up directly to the gas valve will give it 2 separate control systems and may cause confusion amongst the customer. Take and install your 4 AA batteries within the remote control, making sure you have the polarity correct. Now, with the batteries installed, make sure the remote control is moved to the remote position. There's also an on-off position on this remote control. If it's turned to the off position, it renders the remote control useless. If it's turned to the on position, the unit would automatically come on. Also, make sure your rocker switch is into the remote position. With it in the remote position, then it is working over to the receiver off the remote control. At this position, now we should be able to turn our system on. Now our install is complete. Go back and do a quick checklist making sure the logs are placed correctly, making sure the embers are placed correctly, and that there's no rock on top of the burner. At this time, we can go back and install our lower louvers and hang our screen. Now our install is complete.